Welcome to another episode of The Epic Family Road Trip.
Alright, so here's a map of Canada, just to give you perspective. We've crossed from Ontario in the last bunch of episodes, and we're now in the northern part of BC. You saw in our video where at Mezzadine Junction, we headed north. And we continued north and found a really nice camp spot by the river here. The next morning we woke up and drove all the way up to Dease Lake. Now, Dease Lake is a small town. We were able to get some Wi-Fi there, which was really handy, and get kind of caught up. And then we camped along the lake itself. There's a town called Dease Lake and there's a lake called Dease Lake. Beautiful camp spot right on the edge of the lake. And then the next day we actually drove back to Dease Lake and took this road that goes way out to Telegraph Creek, and it's the Mount Caesar Road. And that was just epic back in there. Very wild and quiet, and we had a camp spot on a cliff overlooking the river.
This week, after a beautiful morning in our camp near Mount Caesar Provincial Park, we pack up our camp to head to the Yukon border.
Steady. Go. Good boy. Wants to chew it for a bit. One more time. Drop. Good. Wait. Oh. He just goes. There we go. We had a great sleep on a really epic camp spot overlooking the canyon with the big river below. Just wonderful. And now we're driving back out to the Cassiar to continue our journey north to Yukon and eventually, hopefully, to the Arctic Circle. This was a bit of a jaunt in the opposite direction, but it was well worth it to be out in the wild like that. It's just very, very special. And there's free-range horses running around. They're not wild horses, but there's no fences anywhere. And to listen all night to the powerful river, just a great experience. But now we are continuing on our journey north.
You
You want to go running? Yes. Are you tired? Cold out?
When we were near the Yukon border, a bull moose came out of the bush and crossed the road in front of us.
What a beautiful moose.
It was a thrill to see such a beautiful and powerful animal up close.
So we just talked with the officer there about coming in, or what the rules are, and they're pretty strict. We have to decide here, and if we do go in, we have to make a self-isolation plan, tell them which hotel, the address, everything, and they actually come and check on you to make sure you're in there.
And we can't go food
You're
shopping?
allowed to do a certain amount of exercise, but you have to have your food brought to you.
Who do we know to bring our food?
There's services, I guess. So we have that option. We'd have to sit there for 14 days and not leave the hotel, which that's kind of crazy.
I don't think Lando would let.
Lando would have a hard time. If we're saying now we're going back south tomorrow, that we could stay in a hotel one night, and you have to be out here within 24 hours. And there's one up the road.
That's a long ways to come up, though.
I know, but in a way though, we're looking at the beautiful northern BC. Our goal is to go as far north as we can, right?
But you never know this spring if they open it back up and we can go all the way to Tuck.
Yeah. The other option is you're allowed to go transit through Yukon, so we could go that way, Watson City, and then down through northern BC all the way to the Alberta border, and then back down to Radium, which is one option.
What is this?
You gotta sign that. We all have to sign the declaration that we are gonna be good and leave within 24 hours.
Okay.
So we left the check station. It didn't make sense for us to stay 14 days in a hotel where you're not allowed to leave. The dog would go crazy. And then by then we're into mid-October, and they said you could get lucky and the Dempster's fine that time of year, but a lot of times it's closed for snow, or it's, you got lots of heavy snow and blowing snow. And we're rooftop tenting, and the temperatures get really below zero up there. So we all huddled together as a family and said, maybe we have so much more to explore in BC. Maybe we leave the Dempster for now until we can go all the way to Tuck. So that's what we're going to do. And we're not disappointed because we got to see northern BC, and we're going to show it to you guys. We also are just doing a little loop through Yukon here and then back down the other side of BC. So tons of awesome camping trips ahead and episodes for you guys, but we just pulled over to look at the Signpost Forest, which we were here 4 some odd years ago, and it's really neat to see it again. But if you don't know the story, just Google it. There's a whole story behind why all these signs are here. I know Clay and the ex-Overland team left their a sign here last time. And if it's not near the front, because we're technically not allowed to go to tourist things here while we're supposed to go pretty much directly to our hotel, which is what we're doing, but there's nobody here, so it's not a problem, but I don't think we're allowed to walk all through it. So for now we're just gonna look around, and we don't have time this time to put together an epic family road trip sign and put it up, but we'll do that next time because we're coming back. We're gonna make it to the Dempster, and we are eventually gonna make it up to Tuktoyaktuk. We could put a patch. Do you just nail a patch to the wall? Yeah.
You have a tag?
Carol's smart. She always thinks of everything. We'll do that. All right, we left our mark. It probably won't last very long, but next time we'll bring something more permanent. So we spent one night in Watson Lake and then crossed into BC and headed down through this beautiful country, and we stopped at another absolutely epic spot called Muncho Lake. That's a big old guy sitting there. Looks like he dug himself a comfortable hole, and at least he's not moving, so we can get Caroline can get some good photos of him. One of the neat features here, and when we were here 4 years ago, we also saw the buffalo, and we always wanted to come back up here and see them again.
"4 years ago, on our way to Alaska, we had stopped for breakfast at a place called Northern Rockies Lodge. This time around, we wanted to stay there and get the real Northern Rockies experience, and to relax for a few days after many long days of driving north. Northern Rockies Lodge is located on the shores of the beautiful Muncho Lake at the northern tip of the Rocky Mountains. The lodge has unparalleled access to over 50,000 square miles of world-class freshwater fishing area on pristine alpine backcountry lakes. These lakes and the outpost cabins that you can stay in are so remote that they are only accessible by float plane, which is an experience we have always dreamed of having one day. Besides the hotel and the main lodge, there are also RV camp spots and a number of beautiful cabins along the lake. The views from the lakeshore cabins provide a spectacular view of the lake and mountains and a front row seat to watching the northern lights, which are often seen here at Muncho Lake from September to March. We were excited to be staying for a few days in one of their cozy cabins near the lake.
So we just had an incredibly comfortable sleep in one of the cabins here at Muncho Lake Resort. And we're just taking a walk now along Muncho Lake. They have these little fire pits. You can set up a fire. I can imagine in the summer it's really warm and the lake is swimmable. We're here in the off season, which is the end of September. It's still a perfect time to come up here because of the colors. There's snow in the mountains. So yeah, this is a beautiful place, and we just got here, but we have a couple of days to really get to know the area and to enjoy this destination in Canada. And if you want to see quintessential Canadian stuff, things that you only see on the movies, this is it right here. Airplanes taking off, taking people way back into the backcountry and landing on the lake. So we're pretty excited to be here, and we're excited to take you with us on this journey. Must be the old original building that was here, and then back in 1992 they built that 14,000 square foot lodge, which is absolutely beautiful. If you check it out, it's a log building. We'll go inside and show you, but there's rooms in there, so you can either stay in cabins. They have an RV park if you come up in an RV, and if you just drive up in a car, you can stay in the rooms in the hotel as well. Heading up for a hike. The weather's a little rough, it's raining and windy, but hey, it's a good time to go hiking. And Daniel from the lodge, he's the son of the owner here, is in the dirt bike in front of us. He's going to show us a trail. It's not well marked yet, but they're working on marking these trails for visitors coming up, so they have a bunch of really epic hikes here. But he jumped on his motorcycle and he's just going to show us where the trailhead is. We'll go for a nice hike.
Blasted with this.
All the way along the lake. Wow.
It was a lot of work.
You can see, he was just showing me the, you can see the cutout along there. That's the old Alaska highway, so they would have gone up the washer and around like that. Unbelievable.
Wow.
So we're just dining in the lodge tonight, me, Pete, and Carol. A delicious steak with vegetables and mashed potatoes. Cannot go wrong. This is fine living up in the mountains, I'll tell you what. When we usually go to the mountains, we're in a rooftop tent, and we eat well, cooking in our Jeeps, but every once in a while, special occasion, this is really nice to do. And if you're in the mountains and you want a beautiful dinner, you come to Muncho Lake.
On our last full day at Northern Rockies Lodge, Daniel and I would get to experience flying to some of the outpost cabins on the remote backcountry lakes by float plane. After a smooth takeoff, we rose higher and higher above the vibrant blue waters of Muncho Lake and headed into the mountains. The views of the Cassiar and Northern Rocky Mountains below and all around us were absolutely breathtaking. It was incredible to see from above the milky blue glacial streams and powerful rivers winding and snaking through the mountains below.
So that's which way? East. That's east.
Alright, so we just landed after a beautiful flight over the mountains. This spot is absolutely beautiful. We came up with 2 other hunters that are going to be staying here for a week, and that must be awesome. And we're going to definitely have to remember this place and come back for a week, because just landing here is not enough time to be able to see all this beauty. Beautiful handmade cabins and stuff. Everything's just so nice up here. Super remote and beautiful.
With the plane now empty of cargo, we took off to fly to another remote lake to pick up 2 hunters and bring them back to the lodge. After they packed in their gear, we took off again to head back over the mountains to Muncho Lake. The flight back was stunning as we got to watch the sunset paint the snowy mountaintops in golden light. This was such an exhilarating and awe-inspiring experience that we will never forget. The next day, we sadly had to leave Northern Rockies Lodge to hit the road again and begin our long drive south. Before leaving, we took one last walk on the lake shore on this crisp, sunny autumn day.
It's neat, a caribou swimming across the lake.
Alright, so Dan and I just went up to buy some cookies at the main lodge here, and Dan came out and said he wanted to give us a special treat for the family for the drive that's ahead of us, and he just came out and gave us this awesome, some kind of Swiss cake. It's just, it looks so good and we can't wait to eat it.
I called that one.
Eat something else.
No, I called that one. That looks amazing.
I know, it looks so good.
Swiss delicacy.
Some kind of cake.
What do they call it? Honey cake?
Some kind of honey thing.
I need a cup of coffee.
I'll have a
That is
spoon.
awesome.
Hey, we're here at the Northern Rockies Lodge, which is on the Alaska Highway. And four and a half years ago, when we were up in Alaska and we were coming back down, we took this route. And Carol and I pulled in. We had the motorhome back then, and the kids were much smaller, and they were still sleeping. We pulled in for a breakfast in the lodge, and it was such a beautiful experience, even though it was a short time. We said to each other, we've got to come back here. You know, we didn't even know this place existed, and it is so beautiful. It's on Muncho Lake, which you see in the background, surrounded in the Rocky Mountains, way up in the middle of nowhere. And what an experience. So when we couldn't get into, or we decided not to do the 14-day quarantine and all that because of the weather and the time of year, we went through Yukon and came back down the Alaska Highway, and we said to ourselves, why don't we do what we said we'd do 4.5 years ago? Let's go to Muncho Lake and visit the Rocky Mountains Lodge. And so we've just spent about 3 days here, had such an incredible experience. The kids got to fly.
Yeah, and that blew us away. For them to experience that, like, you're crossing wilderness that is just untouched.
This lodge is owned and operated by a family whom we met, Urs and Marianne and Daniel and Michael, and what a beautiful family business, and they take such good care of you. They're very friendly people. Urs is the pilot, so this place is not just a destination to come and relax or to fish in the lake here. They also have cabins in the wilderness, and Urs, being a bush pilot, he'll take you in one of his planes and fly you out, and you have the whole Canadian bush pilot experience here. And Caroline and Daniel got to go this time. way into the wilderness. And we drove up the Cassiar Road on the way to Yukon, and then we drove down on the Alaska Highway. And in between the two, when we were looking on the map, we're going, what's in between these two roads? They're the only roads up here, and it's nothing but a vast wilderness. And so Caroline and Dan were able to fly over that wilderness and land on a couple of lakes and experience some of that. So yeah, the whole experience has just been wonderful for us, and it's been a nice little rest because we have been on the road for quite some time now, and we had done a couple of weeks of just driving and camping in the rooftop tent, and needed to kind of recharge and have a bit of a break and to warm up. And so Northern Rockies Lodge, thank you for having us and in our cozy little cabin. We now feel rejuvenated and ready to carry on down the road. But if you ever want to experience the mountains of Canada and get that true northern feeling, this is the place.
You won't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to leave it.
The hardest part is having to leave. Whether you're into fishing, hunters, they take hunters out into the wilderness, and you know, folks will go out and spend 14 days out there. But there's all kinds of other activities like hiking, some of the beautiful hiking trails, mountain biking, watching the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. This is a prime location for that. We can't say enough about this place. And to the whole family, Urs, Marianne, Daniel, and Michael, thank you for having us here. We really enjoy it, and we'll definitely be back.
Oh yeah, for sure. This time we go in the airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay tuned for next week's episode as we head to Nanda Peak, where we explore an epic alpine road and finally experience something that has been a dream of mine since as long as I can remember.
And in the meantime,
We'll see you down the road.